Yes, people. Hope everyone is good. It's been quiet, hasn't it? It's been quiet, but finally we're getting some transfer links. Let's just get right into them. And thanks for supporting. Please keep it up. We're kind of on that road to 1,000 subs, which is mental, but mental. But if you haven't yet, I would appreciate it. Just mental. But yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, the first and fairly credible link from Phil here, by the way, who has linked this player, is Nat Phillips or Nathaniel Phillips. Now, initially, the reaction is fairly mixed. I'm seeing a lot of that'll do. That's all right. It's better than nothing. Like in terms of where we are as a club and the structure we are as a club and the position we're in the league and the position we're in anywhere, a player who of his experience, and we'll get into his stats in a minute, a player of his experience and his attributes and his level of the game he has played at. This is a player for me who any promotion side or any side looking for promotion should have in their squad. Whether it be Nathaniel Phillips, Nat Phillips, or a different player of that calibre, for me, this signing for Leeds United, obviously you've got to get the right value for it, would be not like a statement, not like a wow, but more of a, oh, they're serious. Because this is a lot of Championship clubs will be after this guy, especially the ones around us that are going for that top 6 places. And for us to coup that, for me, would be a good signing. And for me, so we'll go to 2021 season where Liverpool having a lot of defensive problems, centre back. They literally had 0 centre backs, did they? So they had to rely on these guys who they didn't really expect to be playing first team football. But I remember in 2021 season, Nat Phillips came in, and as you can see here, you can start to see where the injuries came in. You know, he came off the bench a lot. He started a lot near the end of the season. He had some good runs in the squad when he was needed, and that's what's vital for me in this season for Liverpool in the Premier League. When he was needed, this is what I remember when I watched it. He was always solid for them on the most part. I think he made 1 or 2 mistakes, but as a defender, I remember Liverpool fans being like, this guy's absolutely solid. And that's what he is. I look at his attributes, I look at how he plays. There's no doubt about it. His heading ability is insane. His aerial duels, his tackling, all that type of things. The real solidity to the guy. We'll go a season ahead. This is where halfway through the season, he went on loan to Bournemouth, promotion side, and was constantly playing every minute, 90-minute football in a side that, got promoted to the Premier League. So there's real pedigree in this league already, in a good side, and he was a mainstay in that side when he joined them. And he was, you could argue, is the reason that they continue to push to be promoted because of his solidarity in the defence. And it's also, I think, for me, he's been a bit of a victim of, because he had a really good season there in 2020-21, and then you look at last season, and he's been a victim of the value Liverpool are put on him for me. I feel sorry for the guy and his development, because last season he was in the Premier League. I'm pretty sure Liverpool put a high value on his name, and no one was willing to pay, that value that Liverpool set on this guy's head. So this just led to him playing bit minutes in the FA Cup, in the Premier League too, and in the Premier League when they were needed, he was always on the bench, but never got on. It's not good for a player's development, in my opinion, especially at his age. He has to find a home. He has to find a place. He's playing constantly. And we saw through that Bournemouth period that he can be a solid centre-back in the Championship, and one which any promotion side would be lucky to have in their side. So for me, this signing here is really good. If we could get it done, for me, that is a real solid. In terms of attributes, obviously the aerial duels, I don't think he's terrible on the ball. I think it's a misconception that because he's good in the air, he's bad on the ball. I don't think you can call him a ball-playing centre-back. That's not his forte. But given he was at Bournemouth side who likes to play football, he played in the Liverpool side, on a regular occurrence in that season 2 years ago. You can't be in the Liverpool side and be terrible on the ball. Look, I don't think he's a natural ball-playing centre-back by any means, but I still think he's decent on the ball. Now, the idea of this is whose idea it is to bring him in, if there's no manager. But in terms of recruitment, you can still recruit players. You can still gather up, all directors of footballs and people that work in them, or scouts, recruitment team. They will have lists of players, and you just narrow them down. using various software online. You narrow them down to fit the type of player you are looking for as a club, not necessarily the manager, but again looking at a value of a player, a player that will asset the club in the Championship. Whether it's the manager's choice, that's to be discussed when the manager comes in. You have this guy. I also want one of these. I also want a quick centre back, right? But this as a solid attribute, as a solid player, is what the Championship needs, regardless of which manager it is, if that makes sense. There's a lot of ways to recruit players. Clubs do recruit players based on value, based on experience, to get into the squad. Maybe the manager, if it is Fark, we don't know yet, but if it is, maybe he has identified him during the recruitment meetings that they will be having, whoever the manager will be. I guarantee you that, especially in the interviews, they will do recruitment meetings. So this is one I really like. If we can pull it off, solid defender, really solid. Personally, I'd be interested to see who would be partnered with, because in the Fark system, I think you need them big centre backs. It's natural, but you also need, for me, you need a guy. They play out from the back, so you need a player who is absolutely the mainstay in terms of playing out from the back. You have one who's all right, and you have one who is the man. So is that Charlie Creswell? I'm not sure. Is that Max Lowe? But potentially, if he stays. But it's a good signing for me if we can do this, and it would really work in our side, in my opinion. And the next person on that I've seen being rumoured, this is not by Phil here. This is by more or less reliable sources. There's also competition from Burnley in the Premier League as well. It's Sam Field, who was at QPR last year. Now, from what I remember, Sam Field is really solid central defensive midfielder who will do all the dirty work really well and tidy the ball up and just give the ball. Really performed well in the Championship last season, and I'll show you that now. Playing 46 times for QPR, basically all their games, get 2 goals and 2 assists, always in the starting 11. Practically played every game for them last season. A real important player in their system and in there. And obviously, he's increased his value from his performances last year. He's really good at what he does. For me, this is that type of player who would replace the Tyler Adams if you were to sell him. This is that type of signing. Real solid. You can see we're kind of looking now at that solid defensive actions, how we progress defensively first, because you need that solidarity. You can have all these flair players in the Championship, you need the solid players. So yeah, solid in the Championship, and he won 3 awards at the end of the season, awards at QPR, which one of them was the Supporters Player of the Season as well. So one the fans loved, the fans appreciated his role in the team, with some real talent in there as well. How old is he? 25, still fairly young, decent value. He won Supporters Player of the Year. He won Ray Jones as Players Player of the Year at QPR. And he won another person's Player of the Year. They have different Player of the Years. But he won the Fans Player of the Year. Now this, for me, shows... This was a guy that he just missed my list when I was doing listers. I put Gustavo Hamer in there instead of Sam Field. I just thought there's a bit more of his play, but maybe you can go for both. The different players, they can play different roles in a team, but definitely something. And again, a bit of a statement in a sense that we're saying we're going to get the players that highly performed last year. We want those players. We want the players who have done it in the Championship at a top level and done really well for their clubs. We want to put them all together in our team. That's kind of the method we are going for here. And again, we'll look at his FB ref stats now. Again, thing in the red, but so a lot of this is based on how many times he's done it. So he doesn't have a lot per 90 because he doesn't do that. It's not his role, Pass completion, 76%. Look, it's fairly low for a central defender. Having said that, it's not horrific. And this is obviously based on the side he is at. Let's not forget he won 3 awards at the QPR, so the fans clearly love him. But what he is in for is this. And you look at Tyler Adams, and this is similar in Tyler Adams as well. What I would also quickly say on that before we look at Tyler is this is all about attributes. This is all about finding the right players to fit the system. Now, if he is this type of player who is predominantly a breaker-upper, get rid of this terrible advert. No, he's predominantly a breaker-upper player who's really good at interceptions and win aerials duels, who's good at clearances, blocks, interceptions, tackles. If he is that guy, then you have to, again, recruit or identify players who can be that creative force around him. You need a mix in midfield. And then you've got the number 10 in the FARC system as well, who's also that creative player. So you need that solid defensive player, that box-to-box player. Maybe that's Darko JB, maybe that's Gustavo Hamer. And then you need that number 10, that real creative. So it's a good mix. So for those people that are saying he's terrible on the ball from this, take in consideration the players you have around you. To enable your attributes, you need other players around you who have better attributes in certain things that you don't have to create real balance. So just I've seen a lot of stuff online about him being terrible on the ball. Take in consideration many things, including recruitment and the players you get around these guys to make their role prominent. As you can see, very similar. Obviously, Tyler's got a bit more progressive passes and passes attempted because that's the role he had in Leeds, right? But in terms of everything else, very similar in terms of style. But when we look at his leadership and awards in the Championship last season, let's look at the stats he would be signed for. Tackles, 113, third in the league. Tackles won, 65, sixth in the league. Dribblers tackled, sixth in the league. Blocks, first in the league. Interceptions, second in the league. A lot of minutes, which is good in a 46-game season. You need players who are fit and available. So let's look at it that way. So for me, these two are the type of players that I like. These are the safe signings, but can also be very effective in a Championship season. Now, a lot of you will be thinking, how are we getting these players? There's no manager. Well, this will happen on two ways. One, the recruitment meetings they have with... There's always recruitment going on at clubs. They have a lot of people working behind the scenes. You have scouts, you have player recruitments, you have player analysts who are all working as a team, to identify all year round players that will make sense or fit Leeds United. Also players that then when the coach comes in, you work with the coach to then narrow that list down to players that will work for that coach. For me, these are two safe signings that could work in any coach who plays with a central defensive midfielder or needs a solid centre-back. Daniel Farke does need those things. They're part of his system. But for me, these are really good signs. Again, it's not the glamour, but really effective players who did really well last year in the Championship, or in Phillips' case, did really well 2 seasons ago with Bournemouth, who proved he's that player. So the ownership thing is long, it's taken a while, but you can still identify players, you can still recruit players, you can still talk to agents of those players and tell them the situation. If a player wants to come to Leeds and he's bought in by the project, of course the player will then wait to understand the situation a few more days. It's not a worry in that sense. So I wouldn't be worried. Again, it's taken too long and it is really frustrating, yeah. But that's where we are right now, that situation we're in. At least we are, with Nat Phillips, identifying targets. And Nick Hammond will be working hard behind the scenes to talk to players, to talk to agents of players, to talk to recruiters, to get a real good list of players that we can bring in. And that's it I've got for this video. It's a bit of a mess. Look, I want to do a real player breakdown once they're announced. Manager breakdown. I want to do players the manager will sign, tactics, everything. We'll go wait. We're just waiting at the moment. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Just a bit of a glue, this video, to get through the next few days. I appreciate the support from everyone. Apart from the people that seem to think, doesn't matter. But yeah, I appreciate the support from all the people that are not, just coming in to say mean things. But that's like a 2% people. I appreciate everyone.